assisted me in getting another suitcase. As a matter of fact, he loaned me his briefcase to accommodate the rubies that I've collected as mere alarms. Yeah, so he basically took me in his arms and realized that as a youngster I was traveling, and I was traveling for the first time. I was playing for the West Indies and to India, where the culture was different, people were different, everything was different. So I felt lost, and the consul looked after me, and then I got my way and enjoyed the tour after that.
Having taken up with him at that time cost me a place in the test team. No, don't laugh, because I spoke out against the management of the team. The captain felt offended.
Dear. Never mind. And was he the first person, or the last person that cost a test place?
Not really.
And last, as I said, but not least in this trio of cricketing nights is Sir Curtly Ambrose. Obviously, everybody recognises one of the greatest fast bowlers that's ever been born. Balls, stumps flying, bails flying, clips to first slip, second slip, third slip, anywhere you like, and the trademark punch bag in the middle of the wicket, which everybody used to like. You were the first man to sort of do, I know you've got that guy who does all that business now for the West Indies, but that was a trademark, wasn't it, Curtly?
It certainly was. It wasn't something that was rehearsed or practiced. It's just in the moment, you just react to taking a wicket. And I managed to take a few.
You did. In fact, I think you took over 400 test wickets, which is pretty reasonable, I'd say. Yeah, it's not bad. He played cricket here, actually, in the Liverpool area for Chester Broughton Hall on a Viv Richards scholarship when you first came over. And I think some people underestimate your batting skills, don't they? A good lower order left-hander.
Yeah, of course. One tend to think about my bowling exploits, but I was a capable batsman as well. I've scored a few ones in my time.
A test 50 in your time?
Against Australia.
Not bad.
Very well.
Okay, well, incidentally, again, if you have any questions, please feel free to make them. I just wanted to go through my own Antiguan cricket history. About 6 or 7 years ago, I led a team, the MCC, to Antigua. But I worked for a company called Travel Mole, and our MCC was Mole Cricket Club, not Marylebone Cricket Club. So we narrowly lost under lights in Antigua. Narrowly. Curtly, you were there. I took 6 off the last ball. We lost by about 10 runs, man.
Who were you playing against?
An Antiguan Select 11, but the Benjamin boys were playing, and these Benjamin boys are ex-West Indies Test players, and we still only just lost. But we have been to the West Indies 3 times now, and our record is played 3. But you may or may not be aware, but we also have musicians, not pan, but guitarists on stage. Richie is a rhythm guitar, and Curtly bass guitar. I think a couple of years ago we had your big, the Dreadhead at...
John Ball.
Yeah, we had him at the Caribbean Ball in London.
Yeah, we brought on the place.
Excellent. So, we'll get on to questions. Some of them are going to be cricket, some a bit more social. But Curtly, what have you been doing during the lockdown? I mean, I know the West Indies came over here, but how have you been spending your time? Have you learnt another instrument? Have you gone back to the nets and put people through their paces?
Well, at the moment, I'm the bowling coach for the West Indies under 19 team. We were here in London just end of August into September. It was a good tour for the young men. But in terms of the lockdown, it doesn't really affect me that much, because unlike Richie, unlike Sir Richards and the others who like to party, I'm a home person, so it doesn't bother me that much. I just stay home and practice my music.
So Andy, you've been partying throughout lockdown then?
Not really. I spend most of my time fishing and moaning about the lack of success for West Indies cricket during that time.
I did mention earlier, I think you're out of the room, I asked everybody what their favourite moments in Antigua are. For me, it's been an Antiguan test match listening to the West Indies crowd moan and moan and moan about West Indies cricket. They do not stop moaning. Richie, what have you been doing in lockdown?
Well, I spent a lot of time doing DIY, building stuff, and looking after my garden, my animals, my pets in the yard. I actually refurbished my lawn into a potting green. So I spend a lot of time doing that. So actually, right now my potting is so good. People are asking, "Well, how come? You haven't been playing, but yet you're potting so well." But if you saw my lawn, you would not believe it. It's so green, it's so lush. I've had a few visitors who come there from overseas, and they would say, "Is this really grass?" I said, "Yes, it is. I put in a lot of love, a lot of work." So if ever you want the opportunity for me to come and fix your lawn for you, I'll have you come.
This is a new career for Richie Richardson. He's a lawn care man. He's a lawn whisperer. Excellent.
Yeah, if you can call me that.
I'll come back to you in a minute, Steve. So, in addition to that, we have to take on some cricket questions. We've just had the end of the T20 as far as the current holders are concerned, which is West Indies. Do you think that this is the end of an era for the West Indies with Bravo, Gale, I can't remember that,
Gale's not going anywhere. Gale will be there for another, how many years?
Yeah, he'll play for another 10 years maybe. But yeah, Andy, do you think it's the end of it? It's got to be a new groom?
Well, it should have been years ago that we should start from the bottom up. But we seem to develop our cricket from the top down. And it's a problem for us. The era, as they say, all good things come to an end. And the end has been about 10 years now, but we're still trying to live in the past. We need to move forward from where we are and try to establish a different brand of cricket, because we had one in the 70s, 80s and 90s. We seem to have gone away from that and tried to copy the brands of England, Australia and India, instead of formulating a brand of our own once again.
Curtly, I saw you shaking your head. You agree or you disagree?
No, I was shaking my head because so Andy is a man that he don't mince his words, But yeah, it has been a long struggle for the West Indies for a number of years, and it's very painful for us because we as West Indians have grown accustomed to being the number one team, beating everybody. So West Indians are spoiled. So it's very hard to digest the way we are playing now. And too many things are wrong with West Indies cricket. It can be fixed, but you must get the right people in right positions to get the cricket better. So we can only wait and see what happens.
I'm a Manchester United supporter, so I know exactly how you feel.
One other thing, I think that what West Indies cricket needs at the moment is some more Antiguan influence, because the resurgence of West Indies cricket from the 60s started with the Antiguans. And I think we need to have some more influence from Antigua, because we are never say die cricketers. And Antiguans is that way.
Richie, what do you think is the issues?
There's plenty, and I think our biggest problem in the Caribbean is the politics and the insularity that dominates us, especially amongst the administrators. As a player, I saw where we were going. I saw problems that were developing. We would alert the board members and the authorities, and they would basically say to you, "Why don't you stick to playing the game? Leave administration to us." Of course, when we travel around the world, we see what other people are doing, and we see the development that they're making, and having beaten people for 20 years, they're not going to just accept that. So they're going to find ways and means to try and beat you and get back at you. But we just sat down and believed that our talent will always take us through. Whereas as players, we realize that things are changing. People are doing things differently. They're studying us. They're using different approaches. So we had to do something, and we just never did. So now we've gone to the back of the bus basically, and it's going to be very, very difficult for us to revive ourselves. But I think that we will always produce the talent because it's embedded in our genes, but it's for us to harness that talent put development programs in place, look after our youths, develop our facilities and our entire cricket structure, and develop a strong culture. That's how we're going to do it. We're going to be in it together, starting from grassroots, as Andy Roberts said, and not from the top downwards. We got to be bold. We got to be strong. We got to make tough decisions. I mean, if you keep having players playing until they're 15, 60, it don't make any sense. You got to invest in the youth. And we are afraid, or politicians get involved. If a particular player gets dropped, then you find that the prime minister of that country is going to get involved. Or some of the prime ministers are going to get involved. No, let the politics stay where politics is supposed to stay. When it comes to sport, when it comes to cricket, we as a nation, we need to come together and pick our best players. We need to put things in place, because what cricket has done for us as a region, no other sport or no other entity has done that for us. So we really need to refocus on rebuilding cricket in the Caribbean and to make ourselves strong in the world again.
Fair enough. I think you're very right. Andy, I know that all three of you have probably had issues with injuries and burnout and things like that in the past. Do you think there's too much cricket on nowadays?
Well, actually, I don't think so. You only have too much matches. But when you look at the amount of time that the players stay on the field, T20 is only 3 hours for a match. In ODI is 1 day. How many test matches have been played around the world now? I think they spend more time in the air than on a cricket field. And they need, to be focused on what they're doing and stop playing gamesmanship and saying, oh, it's too much cricket. Just look at the amount of work that they're doing.
I know that here in the UK, and I'm a member at Sussex, and one of the bugbears we have in Sussex is that there seems an abandonment of red ball cricket. That it's all about, because of money, presumably because of T20 and one-day games. But the red ball cricket seems to have been given up almost.
Yeah, but if you the next 10 years, the white ball cricket will take a backseat to the red ball cricket, because what they're going to realize is if you don't play the longer version, you're not going to succeed in the shorter version, because one has to learn to bat properly in order to maintain a place in any team. And most of these guys today, what they're doing, they're going in, first ball, especially West Indians, I must say. First ball, they're trying to hit it out the park. And the park, in some instances, are getting bigger instead of smaller, so they get caught halfway in the boundaries. So I think that, especially West Indians, we have to go back to the longer version so that our players can learn to bat and bat properly.
Okay, well, let's not make it a Graham McKenzie questionnaire. Steve, you've got a question?
For Andy and for Richie, Andy, obviously you produced some of the fastest, hardest wickets in the Caribbean ever. But it sounds like, Richie, we're going to get some grass on the wicket in Antigua this year.
Yeah, well, before I answer the question, one of the problems that we've had in recent times as well in the Caribbean, why our cricket is struggling, is the fact that we have not paid enough attention to the pitches. When we played as youngsters, we had fast, bouncy track, and that's how we developed, and that's how we were able to play good fast bowling. Often people would mention, how well we did against the Lilies and Akrams and Wakars, but nobody remember that in the nets we have to face these guys as well, and in regional cricket we have to face them. So we, because the wickets were good, we were able to develop, and it's quite saddening now to see our players really struggling against even medium pace bowlers. So that's one aspect that we really need to focus. We need to get grass back on the pitches. I've told our groundsmen many times, not that I'm an expert on grass, but I travel the world, I ask all the questions, especially New Zealand, because New Zealand has the best pitches. And I'll speak to the groundsmen, and they have a scientific approach. And if you don't have grass in the pitch, it's not the soil is not going to hold. So the grass roots actually hold the soil together, so you get a much better, consistent pitch. So that's an area we really need to invest in. And now we're seeing that they're trying to do that. And but then again, our batsmen, when they see grass on the wicket, they're thinking it's going to be too fast for them, and then they struggle. So I don't know where we stand at the moment, but ultimately I think we're going to have to start getting our pitches better. Some good grass, some good bounce, and let our batsmen learn to play good fast bowling again.
You know, grassy pitch doesn't necessarily mean it's a fast pitch. And having grassy pitch doesn't mean that you're going to produce fast bowlers. Because the ball doesn't, when the ball hits the pitch, it doesn't take off. It actually slows up a bit. I think the problem that we're having in terms of producing fast bowlers is that our fast bowlers are not prepared to work hard enough. And they prefer 4 overs, and then that's it. But if you want to maintain steady pace throughout your career, you've got to be able to work hard, and instead of going in the gym and try to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you need
to look like Curtly Ambrose.
Because the strength of fast bowling is not in your shoulders, it's in your legs. So they need to develop different strategies in their training so that they can be able to maintain, you know, the pace throughout the day. And bowling 4 overs cannot make you bowl fast, because after your 4 overs you're finished. What you need to do is to bowl 10 and 12 overs, where you need your strength in your legs to carry you through.
Curtly, you've got the under-19s, hand on heart, lots of fast bowling talent now?
Most certainly. Yeah, I had about 6 guys that came over to England with a squad, and they're still on the 90s, and they got some good pace. They're developing, and it's my job really to educate them. You know, the talent is still there. That's no question. As long as they can remain in the right environment and have the right people to guide them and to educate them, I can see our cricket getting better.
And do you think that, you know, if you like, the old way of bringing youngsters to the UK and getting them into county teams, or even into good league sides like you did in Lancashire? I know that I know he's not playing for the West Indies, but Jofra Archer came and played for quite a good club in Sussex, and the rest is history. Chris Jordan's another one from the West Indies that did that. Is that something that your under-19s may consider to do?
Of course. I mean, when you look at the great West Indies teams and players of the past, most of us came to England, we played in the leagues, we played county cricket, so it helped to develop your skills. I mean, 5-6 months of cricket every single day, it wasn't easy, but it helped to develop your skills. So once you get to international cricket, you're just about there, a little tweak here or there, and then you're good to go. So yes, coming to England to play does help.
Sure. If there's any other questions, please don't be reluctant to put your hand up. I just want to move on a little bit from the cricket. I could talk all day about cricket, believe me. And I have done so on many occasions, but normally when I've got a few beers inside me. Richie, I think you're just old enough to remember when Antigua became independent. What were your recollections of a young man of when Antigua became politically independent? Was it a big celebration, or do you think, big deal?
Well, I have to remember it because my wife reminded me last night. It was my first date with my wife. Yes, so I have to remember that day, and I have to mention it. Yes.
This is being recorded.
Yes. It was very special. I remember the night out at the old Antigua Recreation Grounds, and it was actually absolutely full with people. The whole of Antigua building was at the ground. Lots of ceremonies and fireworks afterwards, and everybody was proud. Everybody was really elated, happy, and felt liberated. We felt that we've come of age. We have man up, and we're going to be able to manage our own affairs, manage our own business, and we'll be able to go forward. So it was a massive, massive celebration, and of course, being out for the first time with my now wife, was also a very exciting thing for me. So it was an occasion that I would always remember, and I'm so happy that we have made it through the 40 at the moment, and we're getting stronger as a nation. We're growing, our economy is doing well, we have a steady growth, and even during the pandemic, despite the pandemic, you know, if you go around Antigua, you can see that things are happening. You know, the economy is thriving, and we look forward to post-pandemic lockdown because we are very sure that there's going to be a boom. So, and we are already preparing for it. Yes, Antigua, we're very proud of our little United States, Antigua, Barbuda. We're happy with the way that things are going, the progress that we're making. You know, our government is doing a very, very good job. And long live Antigua and Barbuda. Happy 40th.
Yes, indeed. I'm sure everybody agree with that. I think, you know, by any measure, you know, independence has been a massive success for Antigua when you consider the.
You know, Barbuda is not talked much about, but I think that Barbuda is more part of Antigua than Antigua by itself.
Excellent.
Antigua and Barbuda.
I've never been to Barbuda, so that's
That's
on my
where,
list.
that's where you need to go.
Yeah, I do. I'd certainly go to the bird sanctuary. Curtly.
Well, you guys have already spoke about the nice areas. Cricket, of course, is the best place to watch cricket in the Caribbean, Antigua. Atmosphere, the food, the drinks, the entertainment. There's no place like Antigua to watch cricket. So Richard mentioned Shirley's Heights on a Sunday evening. That's a great way. Then there's a place we call the Devil's Bridge on the eastern side of the country. You know, I don't know why it's called Devil's Bridge. I've, you know, been there many times, do my little fishing, my rock fishing and stuff, but that's another area you can go. Betty's Hope as well.
Have you walked the bridge?
Of course. Well, I'm a good swimmer, so if I fall over, it's not a problem. You know? But and Betty's Hope. So we got so many historical sites in Antigua, and Antigua is a place to be. You know, when you want to unwind. Good food, local cuisine, the drinks, if you like rum, we got some of the best rum, so looking forward to see you guys in Antigua, Barbuda soon.
Yeah, one other thing that I would like people to understand is that you need to visit Weatherall's Estate when it's open.
Weatherall's Estate.
Weatherall's Estate. It's one place where you have a working sugar mill.
Working sugar mill. There's lots of disused ones. I've had a look around, but I've never been to a working one. But yeah, it just shows the progress that's been made over the last 4 decades of where the Antiguan economy has gone. Maybe in the future, you know, the integration of all sorts of other things into tourism. But at this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to say an absolutely enormous thank you to these gentlemen, Sir Richie Richardson, Sir Anderson Roberts, and Sir Curtly Ambrose. Thank you.